Hello, my name is Edwin Rutsch, and I'm the director of the Empathy Center located here in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. The center's mission is to build the empathy movement and to raise the level of empathy in society through education and community building initiatives.
And my name is Anita Nowak. I teach at McGill University, and I'm the author of Purposeful Empathy, a book that invites readers to turn up the volume of empathy in their lives.
And at the beginning of 2024, Anita and I co-hosted the Empathy Summit, brought to you by the Empathy Center, and more than 40 authors of books about empathy participated.
They shared what their book was about, why they were motivated to write it, and what they hope readers will take away. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you'll buy their book.
And so our next speaker is Lou Agosta. And Lou is an empathy consultant, coach, trainer, facilitator, preceptor, hey Lou, and a lecturer in the medical humanities at the Ross University Medical School at St. Anthony Hospital. He's author of multiple books, super prolific, and including Empathy, A Lazy Person's Guide, A Rumor of Empathy, and Empathy in the Context of Philosophy. Lou, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Edwin. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yes, you look good, and we hear you well.
I am honored to be here. I am thrilled to be here, and I am really humbled by the other speakers, and the level of talent on this program is really humbling. Before I launch into the shameless self-promotion part of what my book is about, I want to say that when I reviewed Professor William Miller's book on listening well, I said, and I quote, "This was the book I wish I had written." There are actually a number. I'm going to get to the shameless self-promotion part of my own book momentarily, but there are quite a few books on this list here where I can honestly say that about this. And so how it came about that I started writing about empathy. And in this, I'm going to have one or two slides, which I'm going to share momentarily. And I want to say up front, I came about this because I didn't get enough empathy. And then that coming up, as a kid of tender age, and then as a young person, I didn't get enough empathy. So in some ways, this writing and this work was I'm creating some for myself. And then eventually I took some ground and learned some lessons in school and in the College of Hard Knocks. And the project is to expand empathy in the individual and in the community. And that's why I write and work. And that's it in a simple statement. Now, what are you going to get if you engage with this book? And here I will share the cover art by clicking on the right things, share screen. Okay, so here's the cover art. I should play the slideshow now if I only knew how to do that. Play from start. Bingo. Here's the cover art. Empathy, A Lazy Person's Guide. So listen, I'm an academic. I got a PhD in philosophy, and I wrote a dissertation in the philosophy department on empathy and interpretation. So my friends, and everything I published after that is highly academic and scholarly, and my friends and colleagues and people in my life said to me, "Lou, this is all very good, but what about the rest of us? And could you put it in plain English?" Well, yes. I mean, here is my attempt to do so. And here's the great thing about this book. And if I have to explain the joke, it's not funny, but I'm going to go anyway. It contains, and this is accurate, 24 full color illustrations by that talented artist, Alexandra, my wife. And there you can see, and this is a summary of the other sketches. And there you can see the professor with the cigar in the middle and a number of other things. And so it's a lighthearted look at empathy. So what you're going to get, what the takeaway, I'm going to try to forward this slide now. Okay, so we get a definition, a working definition of empathy, right? Define your terms up front. And there are four aspects of empathy: top-down empathy, which is more or less empathic understanding, take a walk in the other person's shoes. And as I believe Rob Volpe pointed out, be sure to take off your own shoes first before trying on the other person's, or you're going to get projection and not empathy. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, but that requires a lot of practice and a lot of work. So you've got top-down empathy, you've got the bottom-up empathy, empathic receptivity, and that's where the work of Heinz Kohut comes in, vicarious introspection. I get a vicarious experience of your experience. Well, what is it like to have been there? It's not full immersion. I'm not flooded and overwhelmed by your experience, but I get a sense of what it's like, what you had to survive. And then finally, the breakthrough area, at least one of the breakthrough areas is in what am I doing now, right? I have to acknowledge I'm speaking. And so I have to acknowledge your empathy. You guys are creating the empathy in this conversation by listening. And so there is this aspect of, it's sometimes called rhetorical empathy, empathic responsiveness. It puts me in mind, there's a famous example where Malcolm X was addressing his African-American audience and whoever was there at the time, and it was around Thanksgiving, and he said, listen, you didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on you. And it got a lot of amens and acknowledgement and laughter of acknowledgement. And he recreated in his speaking the listening of the audience. And that's not easy to do. And he was good at it. And so there. So these four aspects come together. And, if I'm doing so much speaking, so where's the empathy, ladies and gentlemen? Because to some extent, if I may say so, and, all of the people on this call are empathy advocates and enthusiasts. So moving right along, the thing that's actually powerful about this little book on Empathy, a Lazy Person's Guide, is that it emphasizes the breakdowns of empathy. Empathy is powerful. It should never be underestimated. And guess what? I mean, it could go off the rails. It's a human skill, a human capacity, a human aspect. And so it can misfire as emotional contagion. It can misfire, or so to say, go off the rails as conformity, giving people agreement where really it would be better to have a productive disagreement. Things get lost in translation. Mind reading is a kind of like, if I forget to take off my own shoes before taking a walk in the other person's moccasins, so to say, I'm at risk of projection. So this leads to, in effect, and here's one of the takeaways you want to hear about the book. If you engage with me, if you engage with this work, the challenge and the commitment is to make empathy present. How do you make empathy present? And we've seen that in Dr. Chiar Mikoli's presentation and Professor Miller's presentation and Michael Tennant's presentation. Terry Givens, Professor Givens does a nice job. Everybody's actually, in the ballpark here, right? A lot of contenders. How do you make empathy present? Well, here's the 1-minute empathy training. Drive out hostility, aggression, bullying, bad language. I could actually quote from the book here. Drive out politics in the negative sense, gossip, shame, drive out egocentrism, lack of integrity, inauthenticity, hypocrisy, making excuses, drive out finger pointing, envy, put downs, being righteous, stress, burnout, compassion, fatigue, above all, drive out cynicism and resignation, which are pervasive in the corporate world. And what happens? Empathy naturally comes forth. Empathy spontaneously comes forth, and then one can apply additional tips and techniques and training. So that actually took less than a minute, right? But it's still a big job, because drive out politics in the negative sense, that's what the whole culture of empathy is about. Now, okay, so that's the 1-minute empathy training, and you're going to get a version of that in the book. I'm going to just show you some of the lighthearted, humorous aspects of the text. Here we have, if you want to sell something today, be sure to wrapper it in neurology, in neuropharmacology. So here we have a representation of a mirror neuron who is admiring itself in the mirror, and it lives. Here we have moving right along, and there is a neurological substructure of empathy. Moving right along, here we have the professor, that would be Professor Freud, standing in front of a control panel representing the levers and dials of emotional regulation and of interpersonal skills. So,
1 minute.
Thank you. I mean, that's perfect timing. This is really what I really wanted to say. If you engage with this text, the goal is to make empathy present and to do so in a lighthearted way. And if you engage with me, my commitment is to give you empathy. Are there any questions? But they have to be 30 seconds long. Thank you so much.
Well, it's again great to see you. We've done an interview with you over the years, spoken quite a bit together with each other, and good to have you as a friend, Lou.